control over the borders of our own country. We have ceded control of our southern border in key parts to the Mexican drug cartels. Seeing all these millions of people flood in illegally obviously creates huge problems. I mean, just overwhelming these places. You know, it was fine, the elites thought it was fine when those illegal aliens were in Texas and in other southern states. The minute they had to deal with it, they got very upset. You know, Florida, we transported 50 illegal aliens to beautiful Martha's Vineyard, and they got very upset about that. But you look at what's now happening in New York City. You actually have the mayor now of New York City, liberal mayor, having to say that this open border is destroying the city, because it is. You can't do this. So we see just the sheer number of people is too much. And even if they were all legal, you can't absorb that many people coming into this country. So that's wrong. Second, we don't know who the heck any of these people are. There's people from over 100 different countries. Chinese have come across the border. People from the Middle East have come across the border. It's an easy way. My wife and I got invited by some of the families from the victims of 9/11 to accompany them for the remembrance that they do every year at Ground Zero. So we were there Monday morning, pretty much all morning, and you know, I guess what it usually does is like they do this, and then they have like this VIP section for all these politicians. And I told them, I was like, I want to go, but I am not sitting with all these politicians. I was like, if I do it, I'm going to sit with you guys, and I want to go. So we went, and we walked around, and they would take me to their family members' names, kind of where they have the big fountains and stuff. They tell stories about them. I mean, it was really, really moving for my wife and I, because we've gotten to know, Florida, as you can imagine, the people that served on 9/11, New York Police, Fire, Port Authority, outside of the New York City area, Florida's the #1 place where they retire to. So we've gotten to know a lot of these people. We do 9/11 stuff in Florida to remember it, and we're actually the first state. We have mandatory 9/11 curriculum in our schools now, because we want our kids to know what happened that day, the evil that happened, but also the heroism that happened by all the first responders. It's very important. But so you know, we're doing that, and so I started thinking back, because first of all, it changed my life, because that's the reason I joined the military. If we had never had 9/11, I would have had a different course in life, and you know, I probably wouldn't be governor right now. Some people would have preferred that, but that's fine. And, you know, you can't please everybody. So I was just thinking, but then I started thinking about, okay, like, how did this actually happen to our country? And part of the reason it happened was because we had no control over who was coming into our country even back then. There was immigration issues that led to those people being able to do that. And I hope I'm wrong, but if I had to place a bet, I would say that with Biden's open border, there's going to be someone that came through that border that will eventually commit a terrorist attack in the United States of America. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think I'm right, and I think that that's likely to happen. Then, of course, you have all the drugs that are coming across the border. We are having tens of thousands of our fellow citizens killed every year because of this poison of fentanyl that is being put into our society. And it's being done deliberately by the Mexican drug cartels and by the Chinese, who are giving them the precursor chemicals to be able to walk in. And the thing about it is look, addiction's a tough thing. And we've worked hard in Florida. We're actually the only state over the last year that's had a decline in opioid deaths. And the reason we did that is because we have a program in place that recognizes, yeah, we're going to throw the book at the dealers. We're going to throw the book at the dealers and fight on the supply. We also have messaging, particularly in schools, on the demand, because what's happening now is young kids may take something that they think isn't that bad, but if it's laced with fentanyl, they can overdose and die, and this happens all too frequently. But we also have an ability to get people treated when they get addicted, and so we understand there's a lot of issues. But what happens is, and I've spoken with so many moms now, and they're angel moms, so they're mothers who have lost kids because of fentanyl overdose. These are usually teenagers, people in their early 20s, not necessarily addicted to drugs, not necessarily making horrible decisions. Maybe they're stressed out, someone gives them a pill that they think can help, it's all with fentanyl, and then they end up up dying, and it can happen just like that. We actually had a case in Florida where a family with a young toddler rented an Airbnb, and the toddler was crawling on the carpet, and there was fentanyl residue left over from whoever had it before, and the baby died. So this is happening. Every community is now a border community because of what Biden has done. People are dying. And so the question is what do we do about it? And I am sick of listening to all the rhetoric about the border. I've been hearing it for years and years and years about securing the border, and yet it doesn't happen. So I'm done with the rhetoric. It's time for action. I pledge to be the president that finally ends the border issue once and for all in these United States. And how do you do that? It's got to be a day one issue. Day one, we're going to declare it a national emergency. We're going to mobilize resources, including our military, to be at the border. We're going to stop the invasion. We're not going to allow the bogus asylum claims. They can wait in Mexico. We're going to stop that. We will build a border wall because I think it is important to be able to stop. But the thing that I'm willing to do that other presidents have not been willing to do, and even these candidates, we are going to hold the Mexican drug cartels accountable for what they are doing to our people. And that means we will use deadly force against the Mexican drug cartels.